I think the last question that I had from my end is really about how you were able to build Rosy from in Dallas, as I understand, because most of the physicians we've had on the podcast, something like 70-80% of them have either been based in Boston, New York, or San Francisco. It's the same three sort of locations here in the United States. So it's really lovely to see doctors who are thriving entrepreneurially in other ecosystems. And I know Dallas is a very big city, but again, we usually speak with physicians who are in Boston or SF or New York. And so how have you as a physician utilized the resources in Dallas and the surrounding area to make Rosy a success? And how do you recommend to other doctors who may not be in one of the 2 or 3 biggest innovation hubs to take advantage of the resources that they have in their city and get their venture off the ground?
Yeah, I think there's probably two ways to answer that. So the first is that innovation truly and like the confidence to get started on something in an earnest way is all about your mindset. You know what I mean? And I think that's what those major innovation hubs offer is you're surrounded by other people who are doing things like you, who you've seen succeed, or you can reach out to for support or to help you, solve a problem. And maybe in other markets like Dallas or others, we are just not, we're busy in private practice. Like we're just doing our thing. We're not exposed to these ideas on a really regular basis. I got lucky because my husband is also an entrepreneur, and he was born that way with that mindset. And he's like, if there's a problem and specifically what he told me that I think was really like the spark of all this was like, if there's a problem that you see because of your unique position, that you're in a position to uniquely solve, then that's where all the gears start to work together. And I really felt like I was in a position with this particular issue to make a big play. And I think when we start to share that way of thinking and that mindset with other physicians around us and encourage innovation and entrepreneurship, then we can expand those hubs outside of, a geographical location through podcasts like this or through networks of other physician entrepreneurs where we really are there to support one another, to, provide examples of, this is how I got from A to B. It doesn't have to feel, hopeless. And I think that that's how people are able to kind of get started. And I think there's actually there's definitely challenges to being in places where this isn't as common, but there are also advantages because whenever I am presenting sort of, in a healthcare setting here in Dallas, I promise there's nobody else doing the same thing we're doing. There's not even very many other women healthcare founders. There's not many D2C healthcare, companies in Dallas. So what it affords us the opportunity to do is really stand out in an environment where maybe in Boston or the Valley or whatever, we wouldn't, you know what I mean? So it gives us a leg up in terms of attention, in terms of potential investment, in terms of like the very first pitch competition I was in, we won. And I don't think it's because I'm amazing. I think it's because everything else was like a back end, systems solution. And it's like, okay, we're done. We're like so bored, not that those aren't helpful and like investable and important, but I think it's fun to have a little something unique in a market that's not expecting it.
What an absolutely amazing and inspiring answer. And I love how positive you are. Even in, you mentioned some of the disadvantages of being in Dallas, but there's certainly some advantages of standing out and making lemonade out of lemons. If that's not truly entrepreneurial, I don't know what is. I absolutely love that positive attitude. I deeply believe personally, and I know Alex shares the sentiment as well, that, talent is everywhere, but mentorship may be a little bit more limited. And that's why, things like this podcast, things like, being able to reach out to people who've done this before and not having to be the first one, having that sort of mentorship can not only just give you the confidence, but can just sort of take some of that pressure off so that you can just have room to succeed.
Absolutely. I have another thing I want to add on that topic because I feel passionately about this is that I also think innovation is the antidote to burnout. You know what I mean? I think there's so many physicians in practice now, I know there are, who are like, oh my gosh, get me out of here. Like, this is awful. I cannot believe I'm going to do this for another 20 or 30 years. And that's because they've lost all sense of creativity. They've lost all sense of autonomy. They've lost all sense of connection. And I think when we offer physicians the opportunity to at least provide a platform for innovation or entrepreneurship, it gives them back some of what's missing in medicine today. And it can really just spark a fire that can give them back their energy for clinical care, for, their regular admin duties, while also, advancing medicine. So I think it's really important. It's an interesting idea, I think, to bring entrepreneurship into medical school training, into residency training, and potentially even into, hospital or more administrative roles, because I think it's like the new research. You know what I mean? Like, it needs to be as prominent as research in medicine is. We need to be looking prospectively as often as we're looking retrospectively, in my opinion.
No, that's an absolutely fantastic point. And